6 of us went camping in the woods for the 4th of July. Only I came back, alive. We thought Patriot's Hollow was just a forgotten legend, an old battlefield turned ghost story. But when the fireworks started, so did the screams. By the time I realized the legends were true, my friends were already dead, and the woods were soaked in their blood. We were 6 strong. Me, my girlfriend Rachel, her brother Mark, and our friends Crystal, Gavin, and Tyler. We'd heard about Patriot's Hollow from Reddit, some obscure post about it being the most cursed campsite in New England. Supposedly, it was the site of dozens of executions during the American Revolution. British loyalists, spies, deserters, they were all dragged into the woods and hanged from the trees. Naturally, that made it the perfect spot for our 4th of July weekend. The entrance to the hollow wasn't marked. We parked 2 miles down a gravel road, crossed a creek, and followed a barely visible trail until we saw the clearing. Old trees arched over a circle of grass, and in the center was a strange stone marker, moss-covered and cracked down the middle. Gavin swore it looked like a broken tombstone. It read, "Here, liberty was paid in blood, July 4th, 1779. We laughed, unpacked our gear, and pitched tents. As the sun dipped, we broke out beer and sparklers, yelling dumb patriotic chants and singing old war songs we barely knew. At one point, Mark climbed onto the stone and did his best George Washington impression. "Give me liberty, or give me another White Claw." I should have stopped him. Around midnight, we gathered around the fire, the air thick with smoke and cheap weed. That's when the noises started. Snap. A branch broke behind Rachel. She turned fast, but saw nothing. Then crack from the other side. Tyler grinned. "Oh no, it's the ghost of Benedict Arnold. He stood up and marched around like a zombie. I committed treason, and now I gotta haunt your asses for eternity." We laughed. That's when the drum beat started. Slow, distant, hollow. Boom, boom, boom. I felt it in my chest before I heard it in my ears. Gavin looked up. "You guys hear that?" Everyone went quiet. The beat grew louder, closer. Crystal stood, clutching her coat. "That's not an animal." The forest around us, which had been filled with bugs and wind all night, suddenly fell silent. No crickets, no breeze, just boom, boom, boom. Tyler's flashlight flicked toward the tree line. That's when we saw the first one. A figure, maybe 7 feet tall, dressed in a tattered colonial soldier's uniform. The tricorn hat was half burned, and his coat was soaked in what looked like tar or blood. He had no jaw, just a blackened void where his lower face should have been, and he was marching. More followed behind him. 10, 20, maybe more. All of them had colonial military uniforms in various states of decay. Missing limbs, hanging skin, exposed ribs. One of them dragged a bayonet across the ground, sparking off a rock. Another carried a flag, red and ragged, soaked in something dark and dripping. The one in front raised its arm and pointed directly at Mark. I barely heard the words over the ringing in my ears, but I swear it rasped. "Spy." Mark barely had time to react. The soldiers rushed. Tyler screamed, "Run!" The next 30 seconds were chaos. I grabbed Rachel's arm and bolted for the woods. I heard Mark behind me. Then I heard him scream. Not a normal scream. A wet, gurgling one. I turned. One of the undead soldiers had impaled him with a rusted bayonet, lifting him off the ground like a butcher holding meat. Another shoved a flintlock pistol in his mouth and pulled the trigger. There was a muffled blast, and then silence. Blood painted the trees behind him. I didn't look back again. We sprinted until I thought my heart would explode. Gavin tripped on a root, and I helped him up. Rachel was sobbing, nearly hyperventilating. We reached a thicket and ducked down behind some brush. That's when we realized Crystal was gone. And then, in the distance, we heard her screaming. It wasn't fast, it wasn't clean. It went on for nearly a full minute, interrupted by choking gasps and desperate begging. And then a sound I will never forget. A noose tightening, the creak of rope, a final ragged breath. Then silence. Gavin started praying. Rachel was rocking, eyes shut, muttering, "This isn't real, this isn't real, this isn't real." I was trying to think, what the hell did we do wrong? That's when the drumbeat returned, closer now. Boom, boom, boom. Gavin stood. We have to get out of here. Now. We moved deeper into the woods, trying to get back to the road. That's when we saw Tyler, running toward us, face pale, one hand clutching his stomach. "I saw them kill Crystal," he gasped. They hanged her and set her on fire." Then I saw why he was holding his side. Something had slashed him open. His intestines were visible, twitching in the moonlight. He didn't even realize it. He collapsed. We tried to pick him up, but he screamed in agony. "Just go." And then they arrived. The same soldier who killed Mark, the jawless one, strode out of the shadows. This time he held a sword, not a saber, a cutlass, blackened with blood. He raised it and brought it down, straight through Tyler's neck. His head landed with a thud, eyes wide, mouth still moving. Rachel vomited. Gavin ran. I followed him. What else could I do? Rachel was behind me, crying, stumbling. Branches slashed my face. My lungs burned. I could still hear the drumbeat, always steady, always closer. Suddenly, Gavin fell. Something pulled him down into a ditch. I stopped and turned, but it was too late. Dozens of pale, skeletal hands rose from the dirt and dragged him into the earth. He screamed until the soil muffled his voice. Then blood bubbled up from the hole like sap. I turned and yanked Rachel forward. "Come on!" We reached the clearing where the cars had been parked, but they were gone. No tracks, no sign of anyone ever parking there. Just empty dirt, and the stone marker, now glowing faintly red. Rachel stopped moving. I can't run anymore. I looked back. The colonial soldiers were surrounding the clearing, their dead eyes glowing like embers. The one with the flag planted it into the dirt. The broken tombstone split fully in two, revealing something beneath. Bones, dozens of them. A pile of skulls, chained together with rusted iron. The soldiers began to chant, "Blood for liberty, blood for liberty." Rachel screamed, "Why are you doing this?" One of them stepped forward. His face was a skull, grinning. He raised a scroll. "This ground is sacred. This ground is hallowed. You defiled it with your fireworks and your foolishness. You mocked the blood that bought your freedom." I begged. "We didn't know. We're sorry." He tilted his head. "You lit the fire. Now it consumes you." Rachel ran at him, screaming, and tried to shove him. He grabbed her by the throat and lifted her off the ground. She kicked, flailed. Then he drove a bayonet into her chest and threw her onto the pile of bones. I stood frozen until the flag bearer pointed at me. "Traitor." I ran into the trees again, feet slipping on wet moss and blood-soaked earth. Somehow I made it to the highway. A car saw me and stopped. The driver was a woman in her 40s, terrified at the sight of me, covered in blood and mud. I told her everything. She didn't believe a word. The police came. They searched Patriot's hollow. They found nothing. No bones, no stone marker, no blood. Just an empty, overgrown field. They think I lost my mind. Trauma-induced hallucination. A drug-fueled psychotic break. I didn't even get charged. Everyone assumes the others ran away or overdosed. But I know the truth. It wasn't just a campsite. It was a mass grave. And now, every year on the 4th of July, I hear the drums. Boom, boom, boom. They're coming for me because I survived and the debt isn't paid.